Which of these games, published in 2005,
will we say, hey, those are classics, classic games?
and which others will we say,
Oh boy, lost in the shuffle, just like me.
Paula,
Chaz.
what do the BMW M5, the Acura RL, and the Cadillac SDS all have in common?
I do not know.
They're all cars.
All cars. They're all cars.
You won.
That seemed too obvious. Surely you want something other than that as your answer.
In addition to all being all cars, they're all cars that were released 20 years ago, making them eligible for what's typically considered to be a classic car.
Oh, you only got to be 20 years old to be a classic?
Mm-hmm. It
classic
varies.
Twice over.
People are born classic sometimes, Paula, so you just...
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So, if we were to apply that same logic to tabletop and board games, games that were released in 2005 would this year be eligible to become official classics.
Classic.
So what we're going to do is we are going to work together to determine a list of the 10 classic board games that we are going to induct into our own classic board game hall of fame that we just made up.
So we have a list of every single game that was released in 2005 and we're going to go through all of them in a 3-hour episode?
Absolutely not. Instead, what we've done is we've compiled a list of 25 nominees. And the list of 25 games published in 25... And the 25 games are these, okay? And our list of candidates from 2005 to be considered as new classics includes Animal Upon Animal, the dexterity game of stacking acrobatic animals. Arkham Horror, work as a team to save the town from minions of an ancient terror from beyond. Cash and Guns, all it takes to win is nerves of steel and an itchy trigger finger. Kalis, pay workers and bribe workers to build a chateau and gain royal favor. Conquest of the Empire, build an army, write laws, and conquer the Mediterranean. Descent, journeys in the dark, where you band together to defeat the Overlord in an epic dungeon battle. Fjords, build the game board and place your huts and claim land based on their placement. Gloom, use transparent cards to tell tragic tales of misery and misfortune. Glory to Rome, build card combos to rebuild Rome to become the most influential. Ink and Gold, how deep, tell me, how deep do you dare? Dare to explore to risk raiding riches. That was written really well. Indonesia, produce and ship goods in a dynamic Indonesian economic system. Because where else would it take place in this game called Indonesia? Manila, place your bets on the placement of boats, goods, and even pirates. Mission Red Planet, take advantage of your crew's special abilities to colonize Mars. Nexus Ops, I didn't realize there was going to be a little sentence describing each one of these games, and I was not prepared to say things like mining operations, fight for territory on a planet crawling with hostile aliens. Picomino, roll those bones, push your luck, and secure your stash of worms. Railways of the World, build rails, deliver goods, and fulfill your rail baron's secretive goal. Rory's Story Cubes, roll the dice, this time they're dice, not bones. Roll the dice is what you do to tell a story based on the images that you roll on those dice. Shadow Hunters, shadows, hunters, and civilians deduce who's who while achieving their own personal goals. Shadows over Camelot, loyal knights unite, loyal knights unite to save Camelot, while a traitor writes these sentences apparently and plots their doom. Sleeping Queens, kings wake fantastical queens while dragons chase off knights. Suro, play tiles and move around the board while trying to outlast your opponents. Twilight Struggle, rewrite Cold War history in an epic clash between political superpowers. Vegas Showdown, bid on restaurants, slots, and lounges to build the best casino in all of Vegas. Wits and Wagers, where you bet on who's likely to guess the closest to the correct answer in this trivia game called Wits and Wagers. And World of Warcraft, the board game. Choose your faction, pick your class, and fight for Azeroth. Azeroth, which I'm sure someone in the comments will mention. Azeroth, not Azareth. I know. You know how it goes. There you have a crew of seafaring goats navigating treacherous waters when all of a sudden, bam, their boat capsizes, leaving wood strewn across the waves. And now, to save these goats, rafts must be built from the wreckage. And so, in the game, Floats McGoats, each player finds themselves fighting to outsmart the others in loading goats onto the floating detritus. On your turn, either add a goat to the raft or choose to roll the 12-sided die and take the action shown, such as increasing the size of the raft, which is helpful, triggering goat-to-goat combat, a romantic interlude, or other twists. But whatever you decide to do, don't dilly-dally while getting your goats to safety, because there's also a hungry shark lurking in the waters. Where else would you expect a shark to be lurking? In this captivating game of strategy and farm animals stranded at sea, it's every wee goat for themselves. So follow the link in this video's description for more information and to find Floats McGoats at your local Barnes & Noble. Pick it up today and start kidding around with Floats McGoats. So we have a potential pool of 25 board games, but only 10 can be inducted into our newly minted Hall of Fame.
That's the rules.
That's the rules.
Only 10.
We made them up. That's the rules.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is each of us, independently of each other, has compiled our own list of 10 nominees. We're going to go through our list and see which ones we both picked, which will go in the center row. And then if only one of us picked it, it'll go on either side. And then we will whittle it down to our 10 absolute confirmed inductees.
This is now canon in the entire board gaming hobby.
Or you can argue with us in the comments and tell us why we're wrong.
You could do that.
Always an option. Paulissimo, are you ready?
Chazerific! I sure am.
What is your first nominee?
So I'm going to be real honest with everyone. This list of games from 2005, there are a bunch on here I don't know. So I just want to be honest with you. You don't have to know every game from every year to be like a legit gamer. So the first one for me, I'm going to say is, a classic in my heart. One that I think definitively should be on the list. It was a very early purchase in my own collection, and it's one that even though I haven't played it in years, I will never cull. It will always be in my collection, and that is Shadows over Camelot.
Oh, totally agree. Put it in the middle.
Yeah.
We both have that on our list. That is like the oldest of old school Hidden Trader games.
Hidden Trader.
All right.
Yep.
Good. Excellent.
Thank you.
Yes. So my first pick is a game that I think is ubiquitous when it comes to board games. Not just the theme, but sooner or later, if you're talking about board games, eventually Arkham Horror is going to hit the table.
And it spawned so many other games.
Oh,
right?
yes.
We have a ton of games in this Arkham Horror world, which is obviously the world of H.P. Lovecraft. So it's on my list as well.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Yeah, this is definitely one that I think has to be considered a classic.
So we have a definitive second inductee right there.
Yeah. I think we gotta acknowledge not just like strategy games, but also party games. Wits and Wagers, I think, is like one of the most classic now like party games out there. I mean, it's hugely popular, not just in the hobby world, but in a more mass market world as well. And so I think Wits and Wagers is a classic.
I absolutely agree. That is definitely on my list as well.
Are we gonna agree on everything?
Oh, wow.
That'll be a first.
My next one was a little bit tricky for me to pick because it's a game I myself haven't actually played.
Right.
But I have heard enough about it that I know it has earned respect. And I think has earned a place among the inductees, and that is Kalis.
Oh, now this is actually one I have played.
Oh, okay.
And it is on my list. It's one of the very early, like, kind of worker placement, kind of mean Euro, dry Euro kind of game that I played. I think it absolutely deserves to be on the list.
Excellent.
Kalis.
Also, it probably gets an honorable mention for being among the disgruntled landowner standing in front of a castle box cover series of games. That's all.
One that really started the trend of this being your board game cover. How about this? Here's a game I just recently played with some friends after hearing about it for years and years and years and having never played it. And I finally got to play it. It's got chicken, it's got eggs, I think. It's push your luck. It's rolling dice and pulling domino type things for scoring. It's Pick-omino.
Pick-omino.
This is one, man, people would not shut up about Pick-omino. And I was like, I don't know. And I kind of pretended like I knew what they were talking about, but I didn't know what this game was.
I did not put that on my list, but
Our first point of contention.
it was like number 11 out of my 10 picks.
Oh, interesting.
So put it on your side.
Okay, goes on my side.
All right. So we will have a little bit of a debate here that we'll have to have.
Okay.
Just like Lovecraft, you're eventually going to run into, dungeon crawlers, you're eventually going to run into.
Yes.
Which means you're eventually going to run into Descent, Journeys in the Dark.
Yes, this is on my list.
Okay.
Because another very early, my first dungeon crawler that I owned was 2nd edition Descent. It's really the game that introduced me into that genre of gaming, which became the genre of gaming that I really love. I love dungeon crawlers, so 100% this has to be.
Well, I absolutely agree, obviously.
Okay, here's a game that I haven't played, but I hear people talk about it. And it's one that you're like, at some point I probably should play this. I should play this game.
Probably.
That's what I've heard about Twilight Struggle.
Ah, Twilight Struggle. Yeah. You know what? I haven't played it either. But I have mad respect for Twilight Struggle, and it definitely was on my list as well.
People still talk about it. I mean, any game that people, it's 20 years old and you're like, I should play that sometime. Like, that is like the foundation of why it should be considered a classic.
You know what? We should probably make an appointment to play Twilight Struggle
play
together.
Twilight
We should
Struggle?
probably do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Twilight Struggle, I think total no-brainer for our list.
Yeah.
All right. My next selection is one that I've also heard a lot about, but never played, but through no fault of my own, because this definitive version of this game has been long out of print. That is Glory to Rome with its dual purpose cards and neato black box that many a board gamer covet.
This is like a grill game for people.
Yep, many.
Because, I have also not played this game, and this did not make it onto my list.
Ooh,
so your first incorrect choice.
I think that Glory to Rome deserves a place among the classics because its dual purpose cards are always talked about. Anybody that talks about games with dual purpose cards always circles back to Glory of Rome.
Well, I really want our list here to be well-rounded.
Okay.
And so that's why I was like, we got to get the party game on there. I think we also need to get like a family weight game.
Smart.
And so I think a classic, and I cannot believe this is 20 years old. I had no idea. But it's Animal Upon Animal. This mixes in some dexterity on our list. It's a game 100% you can play with your kids. You're stacking your little animal meeples. And like, how many other games have come out that are like this? You've got Meeple Circus, Minute Work. You've got Rhino Hero Super Battle.
That's what I was thinking.
You know,
of,
there's all kinds of games that are about stacking things and hoping that they don't fall over. And I feel like we've got to thank Animal Upon Animal for at least some of those.
Animal Upon Animal was probably around number 15 on my list for the very reason that you specified. There's so many other games that do what that does.
Yeah, but they came from somewhere. Would you say Dominion's not a classic just because there are now a million other deck builders? It was the first one to do it.
True.
So it's a classic.
You make a convincing argument.
Thank you.
But we'll see if it's convincing enough.
Okay, well, what's your next pick?
As unconvinced as I was about Animal Upon Animal, I was equally unconvinced about my next pick, but I did nudge it onto the list because a new edition of it just came out. And that is on our table here, and it's right here, Mission Red Planet.
This is on my list too.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, I've not ever played it as well. I've never played it, but it's another one that I'm like, man, I sure do hear people talk about this game.
This one just squeaked its way onto my list.
So we've agreed on a lot of things. So there's only one more game left on my short list, on my list of nominees.
Okay.
This has to be a classic, and if it's not on your list, you're wrong. Again, I've never played it. But it's been at many a game night I've been at. I don't have anything else to say about it other than it's Tsuro.
Oh, Tsuro is also on my list.
Yeah, like it has to be this. If this isn't a classic game, I don't know what is. Like that's all I have to say about it. And you can add more if you'd like.
Tsuro just seeps classic game mentality. If that's a sentence that makes sense to anyone?
It makes sense to me.
Okay, excellent. That's all I need. You look at it, it's like, oh, this is something that 40,000 years in the future, people will still be playing
People
Tsuro.
still be playing this.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
So for my final nominee, I kind of took a page out of your playbook. You tried to get a little bit of variety. Here's a party game, here's a family game, here's a game of stacking things that's not quite classic, but maybe it is, but it's not. I had to include a dice game on this list, and perhaps a dice game that's more family activity than game, which is why I chose Rory's Story Cubes.
Yeah, that was very, just outside my list of 10.
If you're looking for things that are accessible and family can enjoy, or it can have lots of different applications of how it's used, Rory's Story Cubes was one of my picks for that reason.
Yeah. Wow, so we have 2 empty spots on our list.
We do
And
indeed.
we have 4 games that we have to decide which 2 make it on. It's tricky. I think I agree with you that Glory to Rome probably should be put on this list because it is so many people's Grail game.
Okay, okay.
But I'm going to push back. I have a lot of respect for Rory Story Cubes. But because you yourself even say it's really more of an activity than a game, based on that alone, I think it should live just on the short list.
Oh, burned by my own description.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's fair.
So I think Glory to Rome, and then one of my 2 games.
All right, all right, all right. Let's turn to your picks. Well, Picomino, definitely I have heard about. But I can't actually, off the top of my head, just picture that game and what it does uniquely without having to stop and think about it. But you're right. Animal upon animal, it's stacking, and there is an entire kind of category of games, you could say, of stacking things.
Yeah.
And animal upon animal certainly would be one of the forebearers of
Yes.
that. So if you're willing to give me Glory to Rome, I am certainly willing to say, yep, animal upon animal has got the chops.
The lamb chops, one might say.
Oh my, don't make me change my mind.
I can agree. I think we can compromise. I think this is a good.
All right,
I think this is a good decision we made.
let's do it. Let's do the official
I'm
move.
honestly surprised we agreed on so many of these, and that in and of itself makes me
Yes.
think they are justified in being considered classics. 8 of these, we were just both like, yeah, that one.
I think it also is a testament to how strong a year 2005 was for board games. There was a lot of stiff competition for these top 10 slots, but our official top 10 classic game inductees from 2005 are Shadows over Camelot,
Arkham Horror,
Wits and Wagers,
Tayless,
Descent, Journeys in the Dark,
Twilight Struggle,
Mission Red Planet,
Tsuro,
Animal Upon Animal,
and Glory to Rome.
and there you go. Wow, we didn't even rehearse that.
I was just gonna say that,
Cool.
like we just did that. It was great. We're like,
That's awesome.
great.
We're gonna go congratulate ourselves some more, and we'll be right back with a game night pick, which may or may not
maybe
be.
it's one of these.
Yeah, I don't know. We haven't rehearsed that either. All right, I have a pick.
Okay.
Which, to be honest, I'm not even sure if this game is available anymore.
Oh.
But I really enjoy this game.
Okay.
To the point where if anybody asked me, hey, do you want to play this? I would say immediately, yes, let's play that.
Cool.
And that is the game Shadow Hunters.
Oh.
One of the games that was published in 2025.
Yeah.
This is one of those games that is a little bit off-center. Admittedly, I don't think it's for quite everyone.
Okay.
But it's one of those hidden roll deduction, kind of everyone's hunting each other type of games. There's several different factions, and each of them kind of has a rock, paper, scissors, kind of hunting the other type of thing going on. And it actually has been a long time since I've played this game. And admittedly, I may have my nostalgia goggles on and, be looking at it through those rose-colored glasses.
I was just gonna say, but it sounds like if your jam is hidden rolls or social deduction style games and you haven't played Shadowhunters and you see it out in the wild, maybe pick it. Maybe give it a whirl. You might like it and get to experience this almost officially classic game.
Exactly, yeah. And I do know that some people that dig it really, really dig it. There was this group of people playing Shadowhunters, and they invited me in, and we played it. And they were talking about how they play it every week.
Wow.
In fact, what they did is they would get 2 copies of the game that they would put on the table side by side, and they would have the whole game be one big universe, and you would jump from one board to the other.
That's cool.
And I believe, for those who may be interested in Shadowhunters but can't find it, in 2021, Cosmos printed a game called Fangs, which is based on Shadowhunters.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah, so I haven't played Fangs, but I think I'm gonna go track that down too, and I will report back.
Okay.
In the meantime though, thanks for watching, and we will see you again real soon.
Bye.